Preview.
Hello and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. Two important news developments are taking place simultaneously. In Pakistan, the SCO Summit has started, where Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar is also attending that summit. It's the first visit by the Foreign Minister of India to that country in almost 10 years. And the second news development that's taking place right now is the oath taking ceremony of uh, Omar Abdullah in Srinagar. He is the first chief minister of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir who is taking the oath with his cabinet of ministers at SKICC. The oath taking ceremony that's right now underway, and the SCO summit that is also underway. Now, if we can first talk about the SCO summit. Now, this SCO summit is very significant in the sense that important leaders are meeting in Islamabad and discussing very important matters. Uh, Prime Minister of Pakistan Shabaz Sharif made the welcome address. He talked about many things, but what stood uh, out, what I thought was very important from an Indian point of view, he spoke about CPEC. He said that CPEC is an issue of connectivity, Belt and Road project, and should not be looked at from a political prism. Obviously, India has been saying that CPEC is a violation. It crosses through the Indian territory that's held by Pakistan. If we have that welcome address of Shehbaz Sharif, we can bring that up before we go to our guest.
Gathering of SCO Council of Heads of Government, which is the collective voice and wishes of over 40% of the global population. Anchored in the Shanghai spirit, your presence here today underscores our shared commitment to fulfilling the aspirations of our people to ensure collective security and to enhance mutually beneficial cooperation for sustainable development and prosperity of the SCO region. Esteemed leaders, distinguished guests, today's meeting is a testament to the strength of our ties and collaboration among our diverse nations. Together, we have the potential to drive socio-economic progress, enhance regional peace and stability, and to improve the quality of life for our citizens. Let us use this opportunity to exchange ideas, share best practices, and forge concrete action plans that will benefit our economies and our societies. I look forward to our valuable discussions today and also hope for wonderful outcomes that will hopefully emerge from our in-depth deliberations. Thank you once again for being here and honoring us. And once again, welcome to Islamabad.
Well, that was Shehbaz Sharif making that welcome note address. We didn't have that portion where he spoke about connectivity and CPEC and Belt and Road project. But let's go across to our guest, Major General Dhruv Katoch. He joins us. Welcome to the show, General Saab. Uh, you heard Shehbaz Sharif there. It's a significant visit. India's foreign minister going to Pakistan, always important. And he said that there won't be a bilateral. He's going there as a member of the SCO. But what do you make of this visit and this welcome note, welcome speech by Shehbaz Sharif?
Thank you, Zaffar Sahib. Firstly, let me talk about the welcome speech. You see, it is part of protocol. There is nothing which is outside the ambit of protocol. So when an important meeting like this takes place, because Pakistan is the chair of the SCO for this year, and obviously the meeting had to be in Islamabad. So these are the normal courtesies which any head of state will extend to all the members, regardless of any political differences they may have with each other. So leaving that aside, um, I don't really see, uh, in the welcome address per se, anything which is out of order. So it is a good address. It is a pleasing address, but I would leave it at that because that is the way it is supposed to be, and it is part of the SEO. But coming down to the more substantive point, the visit of Mr. Jaishankar, our External Affairs Minister. Now, I think that is significant because, regardless of the fact that no breakthrough is going to be made this time, as Mr. Jaishankar has made it very clear that only the issues concerning SCO will be discussed and the bilateral issues will not be taken up. So, that, of course, is a given. But the point is that we have an external affairs minister who has gone. So, in a sense, it represents uh, a very small step in a forward movement between the two countries. Now, it is really not up to India to take this forward. I think it is up to Pakistan to take it forward because there are a few things which India will insist upon if this particular initiative is going to yield any benefits in the future, and that is Pakistan has to abjure the use of terrorism as an instrument of its foreign policy. If Pakistan does not do that, then I'm afraid that the cold in which we are in now, the relationship, it will continue. And as I've always maintained, if we cannot live as friends, well, it's quite okay. We can live as enemies. But we are neighbors, we will live as enemies or we will live as friends. The choice is ours. But Pakistan has to, that is the barest minimum which Pakistan will have to do if any thaw in the relationship is to take place. Zafar.
Right. But, General Saab, do you think that the ice has melted? The fact that uh, Jaishankar did travel to Pakistan, he did attend the dinner that was hosted by Pakistan's Prime Minister. He has not made his speech yet. We'll have to hear what exactly he says, but it's very clear that the emphasis will be on terrorism. But, given the fact that these are good sort of feelers that are being exchanged, does it mean anything or it's merely very symbolic?
No, Zafar, very frankly, I think at the moment, all that is happening is diplomatic courtesies. But even that is important. You see, we cannot, let us say theoretically, if Mr. Jaishankar didn't attend the dinner, no, that would be treated as a snub. So the aim is in this particular thing because they are attending the SCO, and there are two important aspects of the SCO. One, of course, is the security dialogue that will
Right.
take place, and the other is they will speak of economic issues, and that is these both of them are important to India, including the economic issues because we want our link to the to Kazakhstan and other countries, the Central Asian republics. And four of the Central Asian republics are members of the SCO.
Yeah.
So it gives us an outreach. And the Mongolian head of state, Mr. Jaishankar, has already met him today in the morning. So it
Yeah.
is that outreach which is also important as far as India is concerned.
Yeah.
So, but as far as the relationship between, when we're looking at the India-Pakistan equation, that, as I mentioned in my earlier statement, will depend specifically on what Pakistan is or how far Pakistan is prepared to go. Now, is Pakistan prepared to abjure the use of terrorism?
Right.
Should they say, okay, we will abjure it, they will face certain consequences at home. You see, because that same terror infrastructure which they have built will go to bite them. So it is not an easy decision for them to take. It is going to be very, very difficult. Um, so as of now, I really don't see any forward movement taking place. But let me put it in this way: at least there is no backward movement. We may not move forward, but at least we are not going to move backwards. So to that extent, I will say that um, we are talking to each other. I mean, not directly to each other, but okay, a meeting has taken place, which is an important first step.
Yeah.
But there will be many, many steps required for any thaw in the relationship to set.
Right. You know, Janan Sahab, we will talk more about SCO and Foreign Minister Jaishankar's visit. But as I said, that in Jammu and Kashmir, after the completion of a successful electoral exercise, which was violence free and a democratic exercise, which saw a big voter turnout, that has culminated, and now Omar Abdullah is taking oath as the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. If we can play that clip first and then we can speak further on that.
Omar Abdullah.
I, Omar Abdullah, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, that I will faithfully and conscientiously discharge my duties as Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and that I will do right to all manner of people in accordance to the Constitution and the law, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. I, Omar Abdullah, do swear in the name of God that I will not directly or indirectly communicate or reveal to any person or persons any matter which shall be brought under my consideration or shall become known to me as Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, except as may be required for the due discharge of my duties as such Minister.
Right. We are also joined at this point by Zaffar Chaudhary, who's the senior journalist and editor of the Dispatch. Zaffar Saab is on the phone. Let me go across to you, General Katot. Umar Abdullah taking oath. This is very significant. The election that took place in Jammu and Kashmir after 10 years, and this happens after the abrogation of Article 370. There was a timeline that was set that first there will be delimitation, then there will be an election, and which will be followed by statehood. The two things have happened. General Saab, what do you think that the next step, the statehood, do you see it happening soon or it will take some time?
Well, as far as statehood is concerned, I think we will have to see how the government runs. And if the government takes a appropriate view as far as the security situation is concerned, then I think that within a reasonably short period of time, full statehood will be given. I think the concerns of people, as a defense analyst and as a security analyst, it is my concern that we don't want the state to slip back into the earlier days, by which there was some level of cooperation, coordination, say what you will, between elements of the government, the terrorist groups, and Pakistan. Now, that, of course, is going to be unacceptable. Now, if we can get away from that, I think it'll augur well for the state. It'll augur well for the people. But that is why, you see, basically why they have not been given full statehood is really, I think the one critical issue is the police. You see, and if the law and order cannot be given to the state in the present circumstances, because there is a very high risk of going back to the days of terrorism. Now, once there is a reasonable assurance at the center and within the security establishment that, okay, we are not going to go down that path anymore, then I'm certain that full statehood will be given to the J&K will get full statehood. But till that time, I think the law and order will remain with the center, and that is the way it is.
Right. Zaffar Saab, if you can hear me, Zafar Saab, can you hear
Yes.
me? Okay.
Yes, of course I
Zafar
can.
Saab, welcome to Mojo Story, first of all. Umar Abdullah took oath. What do you think are his immediate challenges? He has to take the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which comprises of two main regions of the Kashmir Valley and of Jammu region. Both regions, he has to strike a balance and take them along, and that's not going to be an easy task for him.
I think the way the Omar Abdullah has addressed his first challenge, and I can't resist, even despite being a journalist, congratulating and greeting Omar Abdullah, the manner in which he has addressed his first challenge, which is after regional polarization. Over the last 6 years, you have seen the kind of regional polarization that Jammu and Kashmir never saw before, that communities and the regions were pitted against each other and they were shown to each other as the enemies and the rivals within the same country, within the same region. And if you look at the mandate that we have got recently, the mandate clearly appears on the polarized lines, on the communal lines, that BJP gets 23 seats from the 24 out of Jammu, Samba, and Kathua region, which have a Hindu majority of 85 to 95%. While National Conference now gets a couple of seats from the Hindu areas where Hindu people have won, but the most of the vote for National Conference come from the Muslim areas. And as Omar Abdullah constitutes his cabinet, this is a very small six-member cabinet, including the chief minister. A deputy chief minister and two ministers come from the Jammu region, from a region which has given National Conference only 7 seats out of the 43. Only 3 seats go to the region which has given National Conference 35 seats, and 3 seats, including a deputy chief minister, go to the region which has given National Conference only 7 seats. So he has made a very essential communication with the people of Jammu region. He has made a communication with the people of the Hindu community that, look, here is this government that wants to be a government of the people of Jammu and Kashmir, including Kashmiris, Dogras, Hindus, Muslims, Jammu, Kashmir, everyone. So I think that important communication has been made. That important issue has been addressed, at least as far as the symbolism is concerned.
Zafar Saab, I recently interviewed Umar Abdullah. I asked him a couple of pointed questions that what happens to Article 370? He said that we'll keep the issue alive. Just by when I ask him a question and he replies, keeps the issue alive. And he said that at that time he was not the CM designate. He said that the first thing that the cabinet must do is to pass a resolution and take that resolution to the center. As far as statehood is concerned, that should be the first business of the cabinet. In the first meeting, that should happen. So, trying to set the ball rolling right from the first day, because he said that's the commitment that has been made by the Prime Minister and the Home Minister. Do you think that, you know, that's going to happen and the process that he will start? Will it take time? As General Saab was saying, that there'll be a wait and watch approach from the center. How things develop here on, it's not going to be so simple and easy. There are multiple challenges. You spelled out that challenge. He might have made a good start in the beginning by drawing a balance between members from Jammu and Srinagar, Jammu and Kashmir. But obviously, there are multiple challenges, and his own commitment and uh, what he's been saying all along during his election campaign. Will he be able to live up to those expectations?
I completely lost audio during this question, but my guess is that you want to ask that should Omar Abdullah start working on Article 370 commitment or on the restoration of the statehood? What should be the fine balance at the moment? I think that was your question, somewhere around this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just did a lip reading of this question. I could not hear anything.
Yeah.
You see, there is a tremendous pressure on National Conference, on Omar Abdullah particularly, to start talking about the restoration of Article 370 right away. You might have heard Mehbooba Mufti earlier this morning speaking to the press, and she said that there is a burden on National Conference, burden of the mandate. People had wanted National Conference to talk to the center for the restoration of Article 370, which means that provoking Omar Abdullah that your first cabinet should talk about Article 370 and not about the statehood. The first day of the Legislative Assembly when it meets should pass a resolution on Article 370, which means that picking up a massive confrontation with the center and keeping Jammu and Kashmir Union territory for a very long time. I think the center would be agreeable to restoration of the statehood only when it realizes that the new government that has come up in the state is not taking a completely confrontational approach. If the government in the Jammu and Kashmir is appear to be taking a confrontational mode, the center might want to keep the status of union territory for a very long time. So I think
Right.
pragmatism requires that a consensus is built across Jammu and Kashmir, and a demand in the single voice is sent to the center through a cabinet resolution that we look forward to you honoring your commitment on the floor of the parliament, honoring your commitment outside the parliament, including during your speeches made in Jammu and Kashmir, this address to the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, that now the time has come to restore the much promised statehood. I think that should be the first priority of the new government. That should be how the Chief Minister should be looking at the situation in coming days.
Well, those are photographs of the morning when Omar Abdullah went to uh, the grave of grandfather Sheikh Abdullah, and also to Hazrat Bal Shrine, which is very close to that place. But as we are speaking, there is uh, India's Foreign Minister Jaishankar uh, making his address in Islamabad, and I've been told by my producer that he said that we meet at a difficult time in world affairs. Two major conflicts are underway, each with its own global repercussions. The COVID pandemic has left many in the developing world deeply devastated. Disruptions of various kinds, ranging from extreme climate events to supply chain uncertainties and financial volatility, are impacting growth and development. So, those are the first remarks of Foreign Minister S Jaishankar in Islamabad. General Katoj, clearly he is uh, talking about COVID and how COVID has impacted all the countries and broken supply chains. Speaking of a larger picture. Obviously, when he went there, he said that he goes there as an SCO member, and there's no bilateral that's being planned or discussed yet. But it's India, Pakistan, and things are unpredictable. History says that even if what you go with the plan, that plan can change. Please do unmute.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right. Plans can change. But in the present circumstances, I don't think any plan is going to change.
yeah,
You see, because India's commitments have been very, very clear and very clearly laid out that talks and terrorism cannot go together. Now, there
yeah,
has to be, you see, Jaishankar has made, India, let us say, has made a first move that
yeah.
the External Affairs Minister has gone to Islamabad. Now, that is a
Right.
very important step. I think Pakistan has to make the next move now, and this should come across in the next few weeks or even the coming months,
Mm,
where they have to show that commitment that they will not support terrorism.
yeah,
Now, once that comes out, I think that the third step can take place, and then India will take it forward. But till we see no forward movement on that very specific point of terrorism, right, of using terrorism as an instrument of state policy, I do not visualize any forward movement in the India-Pakistan equation. That is the reality of it. But for Mr. Jaishankar, I think he has very correctly pointed out. You see, when COVID came, it was India which gave assistance to all countries across the world.
right.
And that assistance, had India not had the vaccine, I think
Yeah,
we would have been in very serious trouble ourselves. But we were in a position to look after ourselves and to look after many countries across the globe. But
yeah,
the two conflicts which he mentioned about, I would just like to highlight that, because this is actually the crux of our problems. Very
yeah,
frankly, Zafar Saab, our problem with India, Pakistan is a very minor issue. Let me put it in the perspective,
yeah,
because the current conflicts which are taking place, if they spiral out of control, especially what is happening in the Gulf, if
yeah.
that spirals out of control, then it is going to impact our energy resources.
Right.
And that, I'm afraid, is going to impact us very, very deeply. It's going to impact everybody. It'll impact China, it'll impact India, it'll impact Pakistan also. And it'll be very hard for us to recover from that. COVID was difficult, this will be worse. So I think that is one of the reasons why the focus has been on that. There has to be security as far as energy resources are concerned, which come out of the Gulf, both for China and for India. And let me put it straight: it has to be for the whole world, because we are going to be very, very seriously impacted. That is why I think as the SCO is also an economic forum, you see, where we are talking of regional development, I think this issue has been highlighted that we need
Yeah.
these conflicts to stop. Which, I mean, start talking, at least stop the firing. And if we
Yeah.
can get the temperatures down, then we can ensure that the energy resources will continue to move the way they were moving earlier. And it will not have any adverse impact on the prices or availability. Zafar.
Zafar Sahab, when we talked last time, you said that there has been some back channel that's been working and the ground was made, some small steps that were taken for at least this meeting to happen. But we remember when Pakistan foreign minister at that point in time, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, came to India, it was a different atmosphere. He gave interviews to Indian uh, news channels and he spoke about India, Pakistan, and Kashmir, and so much so that Indian side later said that he seemed to be like a spokesperson of terrorists. Do you think after so much time has passed since then, things have changed and we'll see a different sort of a exchange now? Of course, Foreign Minister Jaishankar will focus on those areas which India has always been stressing upon, like terrorism. And we do expect that Pakistani foreign minister might rake up Kashmir issue. But do you think that atmospherics have changed?
So when Bilawal fiasco had happened in Goa, that was understandable that I mean India probably had wanted to extend all the best courtesies to him and probably do a little bit of bilateral as it these opportunities are used on the margins of the multilateral platform to
Mm.
do a little bit of bilaterals also.
Yeah,
India could have done probably that as well, but right in the middle of this whole thing that was going on, that the Indian
yeah,
side got to know that he addressed the Indian media without informing his hosts, and he talked
yeah,
all the bad things about India. So India also chose to reciprocate in the same language. So
yeah,
that has been
yeah,
done and dusted. That issue has been packed. Now,
yeah,
when the Indian External Affairs Minister decides to travel to Pakistan, the first in say close to 10 years, because the last visit was of Sushma Swaraj in December 2015, which is enormously significant in its own way, because India could have decided not to attend the meeting or send a junior minister or send someone else, send someone from another ministry to mark an
right,
attendance on the SCO register. So
right,
Jaishankar, who is an what I should say is an ideological statement of Prime
right,
Minister Modi's vision on India's foreign policy and India's
yeah,
relationship with its neighbors, going to
yeah,
Islamabad has already made a major statement that how India wants to engage with Pakistan at the moment. So he landed there yesterday. It's been almost 24 hours, and nothing bad has happened in last 24 hours. My hope and expectation is that both sides are treating this opportunity very, very cautiously, and I think the Jaishankar returns home with a good feeling, and Pakistan also sees him off as an opportunity that they look forward to for a very long time. It was basically from Pakistan's side for last 10 years that they were making outreach to India, and India was not agreeing. India said that terror and talks cannot go together, blood
right,
and water cannot flow together. So once India
right,
decides to go to Pakistan, so Pakistan I think feels already much obliged that Indian minister has come here. So I see some kind of positive movement, because we would not know the contours of what happened through the back channel, what happened through some of those interlocutors which are not known in the public.
yeah,
So there
yeah,
was some kind of exercise which put this show to gather.
yeah,
So some positive, signs I expect to see in the coming
yeah.
days.
Zafar Sahab, I was hearing the inaugural, the welcome speech by Shehbaz Sharif. While he welcomed everybody, he spoke about CPAC. He said that Belt and Road connectivity is an important connectivity project and it should not be looked through a political prism. Obviously, India has always been saying that it's a project that runs through POK, which is a part of India and does not recognize that project. How do you see Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's mention of CPEC and that it should not be looked through a political prism at a time when India's foreign minister is present there?
When Chinese Prime Minister is in attendance in the audience at the SCO Summit in Islamabad, how could Pakistan's Prime Minister not talk high about the CPEC? So obviously that is a cause of India's concern. But I think largely, if you look at India's position on the CPEC, that's also restricted to mere statements and issuing rejoinders. Also, India has not taken very seriously either with China or with Pakistan its objection on the CPEC. Particularly, there could not have been any CPEC if that was not running through the areas, the territories in Pakistan which belong to India. So Gilgit Baltistan and Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So there could not have been any imagination of the CPEC if that was not running through these territories. So yes, that's a point of concern for India. But as I said, I think India is making use of this SCO opportunity in Islamabad not to pick up far too many confrontations. So India is listening to all these developments. As you pointed out, that what did Jaishankar say? So Jaishankar also moved from any element of bilateralism or any regional tension. He talked about the major two conflicts in the world, the Israel-Palestine and the Ukraine-Russia, and how could they impact the world. And what is, because India has started speaking in the language of the world leaders, not the regional leaders. So India would talk that how these two global conflicts could impact the world as a whole, and what is the role of the global leaders, such as of India, to contain these conflicts and to deal with the situations arising out of that. So I think that India probably would like to avoid issues which pick up some kind of regional confrontations either with Pakistan and also with China.
Right. General Khatoj, coming to you, the point is that Pakistan is facing many internal challenges. There is an economic problem. There is a political instability. The most popular leader is in jail for 2 years, and uh, there's an allegation of a rigged election. All of that being there, and this SCO summit happening, do you think that it's helping Pakistan in a way that it's getting credibility, that world leaders are going there and they're speaking on a multilateral, on a platform that is not just bilateral? So obviously, do you think that it may not be possible for Pakistani government or Pakistani military establishment at this point in time to make big statements or big steps, but the mere that SCO is being held in Pakistan is significant also in many ways?
Yes, actually, for Pakistan, it is very significant, especially for the public. So for the government now, it becomes a good photo shoot. Okay, we are the government, and we've had a major multilateral event which we are hosting in Pakistan, and all the world leaders have come there. So as far as the Pakistan government is concerned, yes, it is a positive. And I think for the public also, they've been going through such bad news on a daily basis. This comes as a, well, let us say, as a piece of good news. And so far, nothing has happened. They've maintained law and order, and the situation is under control. But Zafar Saab, on your program earlier, I had made a statement. I said, you see, Pakistan is suffering from three major issues. One, of course, is the security issues. They've not been able to handle it well, and they are
Yeah.
faced with very severe security challenges. The
Yeah.
second is the economic mess in which they are in.
Yeah.
But I have not considered these two issues as being insurmountable. You see, they can be handled. But the problem is, to handle it, the problem lies in the third issue, is political instability. Because without that political stability, you can't handle these first two issues. And I'm afraid they are missing out on that political stability time and time again, especially in the last election. Because when we are looking at credibility, I don't rate Imran Khan as a very great leader, and the economy went to the dumps under him. But I have to understand one thing, and people must accept it also. Imran Khan remains the most popular and credible leader of Pakistan today. That is the
Right.
fact, regardless of the fact that on the ground nothing much has happened and he didn't achieve a great deal. But that doesn't matter. You see, he has got the people's mandate, and he has the people's trust. Now you have kept him in jail. His party is not very pleased about it, and somebody else is ruling, who are again fighting amongst themselves. You see, there is a total lack of political accountability, let me say. So unless that is resolved, the other two problems they are not in a position to resolve, which again brings me to the CPEC. The CPEC, as far as I'm concerned, and I've been saying this for many years now, is a non-starter. It can never be a successful project, simply because they have not been able to get the security apparatus in place. So it doesn't really matter whether they want the CPEC or they don't want it. It is not going to work for them unless the security issues are resolved. Because if the security issue is resolved, then automatically the economy will be resolved. But to do
Right.
that, again, you require that political stability. Will that come? I think that is the question which I think Pakistan, the people of Pakistan need to answer. Zafar.
Right. Last word to you, Zafar Saab. Two important developments, news developments happening simultaneously. Omar Abdullah swearing in Srinagar and the SCO Summit in Pakistan, where, of course, Indian Foreign Minister is in Pakistan currently. Last word to you before we wrap up. How do you see the future developments taking place within J&K, within India, and externally between India and Pakistan?
As an incurable optimist, I see both the things happening at the same time as a good omen for Jammu and Kashmir, and too good for India and Pakistan relations together. After all, we have to operate in a neighborhood. We have had enough of animosities and difficulties between us. What is it that it takes to, go along together and be the people of the future? After all, we are one people at our roots. As far as the situation in Jammu and Kashmir appears, I think we have had absolutely wonderful two elections back to back. The Lok Sabha election earlier this year and the assembly election that concluded recently, a product of which we saw this morning that the government has been formed. Probably the first election in many, many years where not a single shot has been fired aimed at the political process, the election that was going on, though a couple of incidents did happen. So absolutely wonderful situation, appearing there. So the mandate, the verdict that people have delivered is certainly speaks in a language that is addressed to New Delhi against some of the actions which have taken place over the last 6 years. I think the first loud message is for the restoration of the statehood. The kind of cabinet that Omar Abdullah has formed is absolutely something, it requires a lot of statesmanship, large heart. It requires a lot of courage to overcome the criticism from your own constituents that you get 35 seats from Kashmir Valley and 7 from Jammu, and you give only 2 cabinet ministers to Kashmir and 3 ministers, including a deputy chief minister, to Jammu, because then you want to address to those people who were made to believe that National Conference is not a people party of the Jammu region. So I can see in Srinagar, in Islamabad, a number of good beginnings, positive developments taking place. And it is very, very important as a very concerned citizen of this country, as a very patriotic citizen of this country. It's very important to expect and hope that New Delhi reciprocates the way things are being, put out from Kashmir, that there is a commitment for the immediate restoration of the statehood. The new government is supported, the mandate is respected, and that stability is, what people of Jammu and Kashmir deserve, is offered to them, is ensured for them. Thank you very much, sir.
Right. Thanks so much, Zaffar Saab. On this note, we'll end our show. Thanks to Major General Dhruv Katoch and to Zaffar Chaudhry for joining us and sharing their thoughts. And thanks to all our audiences for joining in and for watching the Mojo Story. Thanks so much.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.